That's a good point. We haven't talked about Boom very much this season, have we? Like, we're still working on a new UGA, guys. Calm down.
Welcome to My God a Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I preview Georgia's matchup with the Auburn Tigers. We talk through what we're looking for in the game, and we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out the newly redesigned MyGottaPodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at My God a Podcast. Finally, we'd love for you to check out our presenting sponsor, Oxia Time, at oxiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. All right, JP, we got the War Eagle Tiger Plainsman, and you know what that means.
Cue it up.
Let's go early. What we do? I like driving in my truck. He likes to drive in his truck. Auburn sucks. Auburn sucks. I like driving in my truck. He likes to drive in his truck. Auburn sucks. Auburn sucks. I like trucks. He likes trucks. I don't care for Auburn. He doesn't care for Auburn. Hoes.
So, as is tradition on My God a Podcast, we've done that every year, John.
We will do it every year. I'll be 80 years old asking you for the Squidbillies T-Pain mashup.
I mean, let's add one more reason why this rivalry must continue to be played every year, because we have to listen to that every year. Oh, man. All right. Well, for the occasion, playing, I know we'll discuss that later, but found a somewhat opponent related. Shout out to Fripp Dog for hooking me up with this while I was in town. Got the Eagle Rare tonight.
You got the Eagle? Okay.
Yeah. So try to do something Eagle. A little opponent related. War Eagle Rare. That's what I went with tonight.
Oh, nice. Hey, what is the meaning of this? Like, what's the total number of times that we've played Auburn?
Let's see. All time in this, we are 63, 58, and 8 in this matchup.
58 and 8.
Yeah.
So this is the 130th meeting. Is my math right?
Yes. Although, you know what? Like, in theory, that's what Georgia has it at. I can go check some other sites if you want, because I think this is one of those rivalries where we argue over what the all-time is. That's what Georgia has it listed as. I'll tell you that.
Okay. Well, by my math at Georgia, this is the 130th meeting of Georgia versus Auburn.
Yes. Back on the plains.
And while I don't have 130 proof bourbon, I do have 114 proof bourbon, because I've got old granddad. Because that is what I brought with me to North Carolina.
Nice.
I bought some old granddad bourbon for Scott, who is he also lives on the property. Scott actually, last time I was here, gave me some Woodford because I didn't have any bourbon the last time I was in town, and he was like, "Hey, you want some bourbon?" I was like, "Yes." He's like, "Do you smoke cigars?" I said, "Yes." And so he got me a bourbon and cigars last time I was here, and so I brought him something that I thought that he had never had before, but he is currently in DC as he is a lobbyist for the firemen's union or something like that. Anyway,
got it. I've got
old granddad 114.
Have you tried to buy bourbon while you've been in North Carolina so you can experience the ABC store? Have you gone into one?
I have not. No. Matter of fact, there's not even really any liquor stores around where we're at right now, so I don't even know where I would go. I did buy several beers. Went to Sierra Nevada today.
Yes.
I went to Sierra Nevada today with Carter and Caroline. Lindsay headed to the beach with the rest of our crew. The kids that did not want to go to the beach are with me. They wanted to stay in the mountains, so
nice.
We stayed in the mountains, and we went to Sierra Nevada. That was part of the deal. I was going to I was going to miss some of the footballs of yesterday, so I told them, well, the trade-off is I'm going to do some day drinking at Sierra Nevada today, and we did that. We also went to Skytop Orchard.
Oh yeah. That's where we go do our apple picking.
Well, I went and did apple picking at Skytop Orchard, and let me tell you, I have a feeling what you're going to tell me. The apple donuts are phenomenal.
That's what I'm just going to say. Please tell me you got the donuts.
That was the picture that I sent you guys today that I didn't get a reaction out of. I was expecting you to say something, but
sorry, my bad. We'll get to my day. I wasn't looking at many. I think I missed a lot today.
I have a feeling you missed a lot today. I was like, Jim's not responding to anything. There was all sorts of stuff going off on the DC thread and
my gosh,
and the Kirby We Trust thread.
I think I had like 60 unread texts at one point today.
Bro, my wife was like, "Why are you looking at your phone? We're at the Apple Orchard." I was like, "You don't understand."
There's intel.
Yeah, there's stuff going on with the Dog Central. Anyway, if you're wanting to know what's going on, you could probably get a window into it with the Dog Central. Head over to Dog Central. But yeah, no, I definitely had the donuts. As a matter of fact, Rhonda, shout out to Rhonda, who were staying at their house. She actually made a special request once she heard that we were going to the Skytop place. She said, "Hey, could you guys do me a favor? Like, could you bring me back a donut?" We brought her back several donuts, but
they're so good. They're so good.
Man, I gotta tell you, man, I've got to know how to make these donuts because they're phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I love that place. We didn't go this year. It's good to know that it's still good this time of year. We usually go a little earlier, like around Labor Day ish. I think maybe I don't know. Maybe off week we'll go. Maybe off week we'll go. It's pretty
warm today, so that would have been hot.
Yeah.
When I think of apple picking, I think of like the girls with the high top boots, and you start throwing on the fall patterns, and
Han Solo season.
You get into almost Han Solo season.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll go off week. Maybe that's actually what we do.
You should go.
Sierra Nevada, though, that was your first time, right?
That was the first time I went to Sierra Nevada. We had man, let me tell you, like talking about the donuts at the Skytop. Big takeaway from Sierra Nevada is the pretzels.
Oh yes, the food is excellent, and the pretzels. Isn't there like a beer cheese to dip them in or something?
It was a pimento. It was a pimento beer cheese, actually.
Yes, it's good.
Carter was a fan. Shout out Carter. He asked to order those. I said, all right, fine. I was going to order something different, but we ordered him the pretzel. It was amazing. I had a double stack smash burger. Caroline had a burger. Carter had pepperoni pizza, which was also pretty solid as well. Shout out Sierra Nevada, not a sponsor yet. I did have 2 flights there. I had all of the beers that they only sell at the tap house.
Okay.
I think that like I just happened to order everything. I was like, so what did I do good? She's like, well, you ordered all of the beers that you can only get here, so you're doing well. I was like, oh, sweet.
That's why I like that place so much, is because you can go there and get things you can't get at the grocery store or at the package store.
1,000%.
Like for me, like New Belgium, like of the 2, I guess whatever imported beers as far as Asheville is concerned, beers that started elsewhere and are now there, right? Like New Belgium was always the one that I liked more. And I'd say I probably still do as far as like what I buy at the store. But if I'm going somewhere, I'd rather go to Sierra Nevada. So I guess New Belgium's definitely not going to be a sponsor after I'm saying that. But
we're going there on Thursday, so
it's good. It's cool. But you're mainly going to drink what you can drink everywhere else for the most part. Okay. It's not like there's like all these, or at least last time I went, if there's more variety there now, that's a change that's been made since the last time I was there. So let me know. You gotta let me know how that goes.
Okay, so just to give you a window into our exit strategy. So the New Belgium is actually, so last time we were here, we went to the White Duck with the tacos or whatever.
Yes.
Which was a phenomenal place. But apparently, like if you just head a little bit north, which the White Duck is really close to New Belgium, and it was on the way out of town. That's why we stopped there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I was like, oh, New Belgium's right there. Like, let's go. And she was like, no, we got to go home. I was like, next time. So that was my plan all along, was to go to New Belgium. But apparently, like, if you go just a little bit further past the White Duck, is a barbecue restaurant that is apparently really famous because they're not open on Sundays, and I think they close like super early or something like that every single day. Like, anyway, it's called 12 Bones Barbecue.
Okay, I haven't had that. I'll have to do that next time I'm there.
Apparently it's like really famous and really good, and like apparently there could potentially be long lines. Barack Obama's been there. Anyway, the folks that we're staying with hyped it up pretty well, and I'll say that they've been pretty spot on all of the restaurants that we've been to. We went to Soba in Weaverville, which was like probably one of the best Asian restaurants I've ever been to, which, like, holy cow, like an Asian restaurant in the middle of Weaverville, North Carolina, like I never saw it coming, but it was phenomenal.
Nice.
Sushi and Asian. Anyway, but yeah, that's where we're headed out of our North Carolina venture. So we're gonna hang out here for a little bit longer and then head home. And I should not have any travel impedance or impeding my Auburn watching, my Auburn hating.
Got it. I'll tell you, I will briefly say the reason I wasn't getting the text messages is I was literally on a campus tour with Ella. So we were it's college campus tour season for the official tours. We were in Greensboro today visiting and touring UNC Greensboro. So actually when the DC thread was blowing up, I was actually literally like in a meeting room getting like the speech in the spiel, and I was like, my phone, like I had to like silence my phone, or not silence it, but I was like,
yeah, you had to just put it away. I was the same way at the Apple Orchard. I was like, I'll read it when I get back. Which, so like I always laugh. Like I feel like the guys with family, they're always like responding way late on that.
Way later. So when you sent me the other thing, I was probably either still on the tour or maybe even driving home. But we were there for a while because she's got a friend who's a freshman there, and she gave us a second tour after we got the official school campus tour. So that was cool. Did that, and then I don't 100% know exactly our viewing for Saturday because it is homecoming here. Around here, so I know I had mentioned that before. So Lily's going to the homecoming dance Saturday. Still trying to nail down exactly what the plans are with everyone to see there. So maybe stepping away from the game for a bit to get them sent off, but otherwise I'll be around.
Gotcha. Well, that's cool. I'm a big fan of the college visitation, because you got to find your home. Fortunately, you and I both found ours. I've had that thought as well, checking out UNC Asheville while we're up here, and Furman. We actually drove by Furman on the way up here. I'm not a huge fan of Furman, but anyway, that's cool.
Yeah, it was a good time. So that's where I missed the text. So sorry for missing the donut picture. I'll have to go back and look at it now.
Right. Yeah, no, the donut picture was amazing. I mean, that, like, easily, like, so we've been, one of the Powell traditions of places that we go is to try to find the donuts. So we go to Destin, got the donut hole, in Hilton Head, you've got Duck Donuts, I believe it is. And then here now we've got Skytop Donuts, which is a considerable hike further than either of those two other donut locations.
Yeah, not close. Not close for you.
I think that what this place lacks in the creativity of those places, it makes up for in its simplicity and its just utter deliciousness.
Yeah. It's good.
They call it apple cider donuts, by the way.
Yes, I see it in the picture.
It's not just apple donuts. It's like apple cider. So are they making it out of apple cider? I don't know.
Nice. I see it in the picture now. I have found the picture in the text messages. Amazing.
I will tell you, dear listener, I'm going to try to replicate these donuts.
Nice. All right, let's jump into the matchup. So as we've discussed, kickoff is Saturday at 3:30 Eastern at Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn. Georgia comes into the game at 4-0, 1-0 in the SEC. Auburn 3-1, 0-1 in the SEC. They were one of those undefeated teams in the SEC on our schedule until they lost at Texas A&M last week. Auburn is not ranked. Georgia is still number 1 in the AP and Coaches Bowl poll. The game is on CBS, so we will be the CBS game of the week yet again. And the official hashtag that we will forget to use is hashtag UGA versus AUB. We mentioned earlier, all-time series, Georgia leads 63, 58, and 8, at least according to Georgia. And last year we beat these guys 42-10 at home in Athens. Weather looking really nice. Low of 63, high of 85. Hope everyone heading down there has a great day on the plains.
Yes.
JP, do you have any fun facts, or you want to hit us with the mascot knowledge?
Yeah. So if you've listened to us from last year, you can probably refer to our notes from last year. I won't bore anyone. I feel like maybe I didn't hit this before, because as I was looking at it, trying to refresh my memory on the fun facts, if you will, I don't recall some of the famous alumni, so we can kind of quickly touch on some of that, which, one of them in particular was kind of surprising to me. But do you have any inclination on some of the famous alumni?
I mean, I just think of the sports ones like Bo Jackson and Charles Barkley, stuff like that. But
Frank Thomas,
he's one I always forget. I knew that, but I always forget.
Yeah, well, there's also another one who is a current coach of Auburn University.
Oh, Cadillac.
Yes, Cadillac Williams.
Yes, I believe he's like associate head coach or one of those kind of titles.
Yeah, I think he's the offensive coordinator, like assistant head coach, something along those lines.
Yeah.
But you've got a couple of other folks. Does the name Tim Cook ring a bell?
God, yeah, yes. Current Apple CEO.
Yeah. A couple of other ones that I felt like were kind of surprising and maybe will tarnish a little bit of their luster. Mr. Cheeseburger in Paradise himself, like Jimmy Buffett.
He's Auburn?
That's what it's listed. That's what it's listed.
I missed that. And if we've talked about that, I forgot it. I've already forgot. See, this is why it doesn't matter, John, because I forget within a year. If we talked about that, I don't know.
I read it on the internet.
Must be true.
The king of Margaritaville.
Nice.
Yeah, he was looking for his lost sugar shot at apparently Auburn University.
R.I.P.
Yep. Incidentally, also likely to be my Halloween costume, just because of hashtag ketchup Twitter over the summer.
I was gonna say he likes his with lettuce and tomato.
I'm probably gonna not have any ketchup, but just to be fun with the text thread. But yeah, dude, yeah, I had no idea. I think that he was a Sigma Pi pledge. He had a brief stint at Auburn, which hashtag shocking. He left he left school in 1979 with a 0.3 GPA.
Nice.
0.32. Sorry, 0.32 GPA.
You got to work to get that.
You really have to work to get to that, which makes me wonder, if you were listening to this and happened to be at Auburn University when Jimmy Buffett was there, please tell me the stories that Mr. 0.32 GPA had at the University of Auburn, because holy cow, I can't imagine what that must have been like, because I knew some kids that had a 1 GPA and they had some of the most epic shenanigans that I feel like I've ever experienced at a college.
Too funny.
Let's see some other ones. Octavia Spencer.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar. Hidden Figures of Hidden Figures and The Help fame.
Yep.
She made a delicious chocolate pie, which wasn't chocolate. Let's see. Another famous alumni. He graduated from Tuskegee, but he did run through Auburn University. So I don't know that you could technically call him an Auburn alumnus. Kind of like I threw out what was it? Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking.
I don't know. I don't know where you're going. From tonight or from another night?
From another episode. The alumni that was the honorary alumni.
Oh my gosh, I can't remember who that was either.
Stevie Wonder.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, totally blanked on it. Stevie Wonder. So I'll give you a hint, Jim.
Oh,
hello,
gosh.
Is it me you're looking for?
Oh, really?
Yes, Lionel Richie. Lionel Richie went to Auburn at one point. He graduated from Tuskegee.
Okay.
But he went to Auburn.
Okay.
At one point. Yes.
And was in the Commodores.
And was in the Commodores, yes.
Confused with Vanderbilt.
Not to like confuse this even further in this SEC matchup.
Nice.
Yeah, that's all I got. Aside from that, the mascot thing that you alluded to. So as Georgia fans, we all know that the War Eagle, Tiger, Plainsman folks, they have multiple quote unquote mascots. Well, if you are to poll an Auburn fan and ask them who their mascot is, they would say that it was unequivocally the Tiger.
Yes.
Their battle cry is War Eagle, and apparently, if you listen to the previous episode, I feel like that's where when you and I were talking about this before on the conversation before the podcast. But in the past, there was a World War II. One of the veterans of the wars, I believe it was World War II. He let the eagle fly during the game, and the eagle soared over the stadium, and everybody thought it was super cool. They ended up winning that game. I can't remember who it was against. I feel like it was of some substance. But at the end of the day, they said, "Oh, it was like a war eagle," and so that became like their battle cry.
Yeah.
Very condensed oral history from my got a podcast here on that. But yes, basically they had an eagle fly over their stadium one time and thought it was cool, and basically went with War Eagle.
Yeah. So my rebuttal to that is, if the eagle isn't your mascot, then why do you literally have a live eagle in the stadium that flies down? So
my guess is that they're trying to recreate that amazingness.
I agree. But, come on. Like, what is your mascot? You have a live mascot on the sideline. It's an eagle. I'm just saying.
Ooh. Jim. Off the top rope.
Okay. Yeah, that's my rebuttal to them. So
I like it. But where's the Plainsman come in?
I don't know. I don't know what the Plainsman is.
I don't know. Yeah.
We'll have to we'll save that for next year.
The Plainsman, I believe, if I remember correctly from my research, again, I'm on vacation, so I haven't done full transparency, I haven't done the full re-education from our last years, but I believe, if I remember correctly, the Plainsman is in reference to a poem called "The Deserted Plains" or something like that. But anyway, it's referred to as the loveliest village on the plains, and so the Plainsman is an extension of that.
Got it. One quick correction: it was from my memory, it was like it was my memory. I just looked it up to double check because I was like, wait, this doesn't sound right. It was like a Civil War veteran that supposedly, that's how the story goes with the whole eagle thing.
Yes, Civil War. Okay.
Yeah. So
again, it was one of those wars. It was one of those wars.
It was a war. Cool.
It was. I said it was a veteran, Jim.
It was a veteran. Too good. All right, let's see. Let's hit some news and notes. One thing I've got ahead of the press conferences: Carson Beck was named to the Davey O'Brien Award, Grade 8, this week for his performance against UAB. So it's like a weekly award they hand out. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. On Kirby's press conference, I mainly just looked for injury updates. So he did talk about Ladd a bit. He said, I thought this was interesting. He said that we basically had kind of a 2-week advised shutdown for Ladd. So basically totally shut down Ladd for 2 weeks. He said that's over. We're through that. But basically depends on how he practices this week. That's all the detail he gave on Ladd. Unfortunately, yeah, I thought that was interesting. I hadn't heard that.
2-week advised shutdown.
I hadn't heard that.
Very explicit Kirby Smart
Exactly. Agreed. I thought it was very specific. He didn't say, and he did not use the word hopeful about Ladd. Unfortunately, he did use it about 2 other players. So for Javon Bullard, he said, we think he's going to be able to do more, hoping to get him back. And then on Michael Williams, he said, we're hopeful to get back if he's over the sickness. So I don't know. I feel like that's a kiss of death for both of those guys. The hopeful kiss of death.
If you're over the sickness and you're a follower of DC Dog Central, go over and check it out.
Then I checked Hugh Freeze's press conference to see if there's anything of note there. The only thing that stood out to me was he got a question around who's going to start a quarterback this week. He asked if Peyton Thorne will remain the starting quarterback. He said we're still kind of waiting through that, but that's probably where we'll land this week also. So we can talk about that here in a bit. All right, JP, let's jump into the game. Let's look at the matchups here.
Well, you mentioned. Well, wait.
What did I do?
Let's go back. You mentioned Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Like, so Hugh Freeze. Where do we know him from, Jim? That name sounds really familiar.
It does sound familiar. I mean, yeah. So former coach at Ole Miss and Liberty, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
exactly. And I believe that he replaced who exactly
at Auburn?
Yes.
I mean, technically, he replaced Cadillac Williams, who was the interim,
right? Which he ended up keeping, which is a nice little fun note.
Right. No, but our guy that came from Boise State, the youth pastor,
yes,
modern age youth pastor.
Yes, I don't know. Like, it feels like that they've got these guys coming through here, and it's just kind of crazy to me. I don't understand what's going on at Auburn. They keep hiring these folks, and I just don't understand it. You got Gus Malzahn, you got Hugh Freeze, Brian Harsin. Like, I don't understand. So you got I don't know. It seems like that 2 out of the 3 previous coaches were like former high school coaches, like not too distant coaching tree, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, Malzahn had not been, and other than he was, offensive coordinator, but he came from high school basically.
Well, I mean, Hugh Freeze wasn't Hugh Freeze coming from? He came from high school when he was at Ole Miss, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, I don't even really remember.
Wasn't he? Isn't he like the blind side guy?
Are you saying Hugh Freeze was the high school coach from the blind side?
I thought so.
You're educating me, John. So correct. Bradcrest Christian School in Memphis, Tennessee. You're right. Sorry, John. I
started to doubt myself for a second, but
it's late. It's late.
Hugh Freeze is involved in a lawsuit with Michael Oher currently.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that lawsuit is crazy.
He's currently involved in a lawsuit because Michael Oher is suing the Tuohys and basically anyone that was once connected to his career, saying that they bilked him of his blindside earnings. Basically that he didn't make hardly any money off of the blindside, and I don't know. He's basically going scorched earth on the entire blindside story, and Hugh Freeze is 1,000% wrapped up in that.
Nice.
So you can take the coach out of the high school, but you can't take the high school coach out of the man or whatever. And take the man out of the high school, but you can't take the high school coach out of the man.
I like it. All right. Well, enough about high school football. We'll go back to college football.
Right.
All right. So as far as what we're looking for when Georgia has the ball, so a couple of players of note on the Auburn defense. So let's see. Defensive lineman Marcus Harris has 2 sacks. Another player with 2 sacks is linebacker Eugene Asanta. He's also 7th in the SEC with 28 tackles. Then they've got a cornerback, Jalen Simpson. He has 3 interceptions, and that is tied for first in the SEC with one. Tyke Smith, by the way, is tied for the league lead in interceptions. So those are a few guys to look for on their side. And then I think, the big story for us is first road start for Carson Beck.
Yeah, First road start, and it's usually going to Auburn. I feel like Auburn is like one of those like proving grounds for a lot of UGA quarterbacks.
It's funny, John, that you mentioned that. That's something
Oh.
I thought of earlier today. So one of these things that my get off your lawn thing is like, I prefer to play Auburn late in the season, but like, whatever, get off my lawn. But in the 2020 COVID year, Stetson Bennett's first start was also, first start period was against Auburn, actually, in COVID. So that was the second game that season.
Yeah. I mean, because he wasn't the starter
exactly
that season, right?
He did, right. Yeah, he didn't start in the Arkansas game. He started in the Auburn game. So
who was supposed to start some of these games before Auburn
that year?
Yeah.
I mean, well, the next year, Carson, maybe you could say.
Right.
Yeah, with that UAB game. But yeah, so I don't know, man. So it's going to be interesting to watch Carson first time on the road. He's been able to operate with basically zero noise, right? In all home starts. I know Auburn's coming off a loss, but it's the Georgia Auburn game. It's going to be loud in Jordan here. It's going to be a super loud environment. So we're going to, I'm sure they've been practicing with noise, simulated noise all week, but that doesn't really do the trick. So
this is a novel concept that Deion Sanders came up with, Jim. Like, I mean, this is a coaching breakthrough. Like, yes. just practicing with all this noise coming through. Oh, sorry. Amazing. We didn't talk about that in the last episode, but yeah, that's
okay. They lost. We don't have to talk about that anymore, John.
Shout out Dan Lanning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure that he's going to get an earful. It will be interesting to see. I'm hearkening back to another contentious quarterback battle. DeJuan Mathis was starting. Wasn't it the Arkansas game? I'm trying to remember which game it was that he started.
It was the Arkansas game. Yeah.
It was the Arkansas game. Okay. I was also on vacation at that time, but wasn't that the game that Kirby had the famous GIF where he's like staring at him?
Yes, that was that game.
The clip. Okay. Yeah. So that was his first road start, right? So
yeah,
my thought process here is that was also, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Beck get into that game as well? Or
no, it went straight to Stetson.
Straight to Stetson. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember that there was a game that Stetson or that Carson got into, and he kind of panicked, kind of looked very like DeJuan Mathis-y, if you will, for lack of a better description. I have been apologetic to Mr. Beck as well this season. Like, I feel like that he's turned a corner from these younger years where he looked a little scared, didn't look ready for it, but this is a little bit different because he is the guy right now, and it is his first road test. He is the starter. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, there's nothing hanging over his head. Like, this is your team, basically. And this is one of those games where you kind of go out and you make your statement, right?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, and I'll say, I would love to see receivers hanging on the ball, right? Like, I mean, first road start, we've had a few drops. We need to get those cleaned up. I'm sure that's being worked on in practice this week. We talked about Ladd. Would he be there or not? Ladd, I feel like had a bit of a coming out party in the first national championship season at Auburn. He had those, I think, 2 long touchdown catches against Auburn there. Most likely won't have him available to do that this week. Could we see Dominic Lovett? Could we see Ra Thomas have a breakout in this game? That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah. So I mentioned it before. We've tried to hit a couple of guys deep recently. I would love to see Ra get some more looks deep. That would be something that I would be looking for from the wide receiving core. I feel like that we're honing in on kind of our starting lineup with the wide receiver core, and I don't know. I feel like that we've got our A game on the field when we've got Ra, we've got Dominic, you've got Marcus Rosemy-Jack Saint.
Yeah, agreed.
You've got all these guys on the field that if we can get those 3 guys on the field making plays, I feel like that puts us in a better position to win. And then you throw Ladd McConkey out there as a potential participant as well. I mean, you gotta like our chances with the quarterback play, regardless of who's there, right?
Yeah, I agree. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I have like rigorously studied Auburn, but I have watched some of their highlights. Looking at the game against Texas A&M last week, one of the things I noticed was, I mean, they were able to do both, or they were able to get some pretty good chunk plays both through the air and on the ground. So they were able to, they actually ripped off like an 80-yard run late in that game. But I saw some pretty big holes. So, we don't even need a huge running lane, for Dejan. Dejan, all he needs is a crease. So I think, again, having him back, he has really come on, has looked great since he's, returned to the lineup. So excited to see what he can do. With the 1-2 punch of Dejan Edwards and Dylan Bell. See what we can do there. And I mean, I feel like from what I've seen of Auburn, they're going to have some room to operate as well.
Yeah. I think that it's one of those situations where, we've got a couple, I don't know. I could see this going a number of different ways, but you got some pretty decent defenses, right? So Auburn, Georgia's got the number 10 ranked scoring defense in the country currently. Auburn has, I want to say they're top 25, they're number 23. So Auburn has the number 23 scoring defense in the country. So we've got some pretty decent defenses. To put it in perspective, Texas A&M kind of won pretty handedly with them, right? Texas A&M is the number 30th ranked scoring defense that they've played.
Okay.
So that does give you some perspective there.
I will say, I feel like they did build up some of that on some, I mean, not that we can talk, but on some lesser competition. Right. You have to play your schedule. But so they played UMass, Cal, and Samford before they played A&M. So just to put that in a little perspective. But yeah.
So Auburn's got the number 74 rushing defense. Let's see.
See, I like our chances with that.
Yeah. A&M was ranked 40th in terms of their rushing defense.
Okay.
I'm trying to you try to compare these things, and so you try to figure out how did they play against them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So interestingly, and maybe this is kind of a little ominous-ish. Auburn is the number 17th ranked passing defense currently. That is definitely one category that they are above Georgia from a defensive standpoint, for talking about our offense versus their defense, right?
Yeah. That's where I do feel like too, though, where last week we talked about how Brock Bowers finally had that game against UAB. And so maybe, I don't know, maybe Bubba was getting him ready for something this week. Wouldn't mind to see Brock Bowers unleashed at Auburn.
Yeah, no, I think that would be great. That would be a good situation. Looking at the overall total defense, so if you were to kind of average and mash some of those things together, Texas A&M was ranked 14th and is currently ranked 14th in total defense. Georgia is ranked 18th in total defense. Auburn is ranked 25.
Okay, got it.
So you've got a pretty similar matchup in terms of the overall statistical 4-game, 5-game, depending on what you're looking at, body of work for these two teams amidst a fairly similar-ish team. I think that there's a number of models out there. If you follow us on Twitter, we were probably you maybe have seen us get tagged in a post that we'll probably talk about later. That highlights some modeling that suggests that Auburn slightly wins this game.
Spoiler alert, John. Wait for the listener questions.
We'll wait for the listener questions. Yeah. Well, I say that that was a fairly close game with A&M. These two teams are very similar. Georgia and A&M have fairly similar statistical approach. Anyway, that's kind of how I see the offense versus their defense.
Got it. Cool. All right. Well, why don't we take a moment to remind everyone that season 4 of My God, a Podcast is presented by Oxia Time. So Oxia Time is a Swiss watch company. They make automatic Swiss watches, and you've got to check out their 2021 and 2022 Georgia National Championship watch collection. John and I have the 2021 watches. I'm always wearing mine when we record. It's got a lovely red face, the Power G throughout, and has the CFP branding 2021 national champions. Also has the CFP logo on the dial on the side. The metal clasp has the CFP logo as well. You can also get it engraved. That comes with your purchase. Get it engraved on the back so you can turn it over and always see your engraving. Most of the watches come with multiple bands as well. I like to wear the NATO band on mine. I know, John, you like to wear the stainless steel on yours most of the time. I change it out to the stainless steel when I want to dress it up a bit as well. So,
I like to keep it stylish. I've got my sport band, running tracker, that I'll track for my runs pregame on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And then then I'll take it off and throw it on and head out to the tailgate.
Love it.
My fancy Axia timepiece.
All right. Well, you got to go check them out. You can head over to axiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. And you can use the code MyGodAPodcast to get a special presentation box so you can show off your watch when it's not on your wrist. So go check them out at axiatime.com. All right, JP. So the Georgia defense, when Auburn has the ball. So I mentioned in the press conference that Hugh Freeze talked about the quarterback situation, got asked that. Sounds like from his answer that Peyton Thorne will continue to be the starter, we believe. He is a Michigan State transfer. On the season, he's 49 of 75. That's a 65% completion percentage. For 561 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 picks. He's also been sacked 10 times. So something to remember there. He also has 33 rushes for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hugh Freeze does like to run the quarterback. We know that from his days at Ole Miss. Their change of pace quarterback, Robbie Ashford. So he's the guy that we saw last year in Athens. He's only 7 of 17 for 65 yards and a touchdown, so has not thrown the ball a lot, but he does have 23 carries for 101 yards and 4 touchdowns. He actually has the most rushing touchdowns of anyone on Auburn. From the traditional running back position, Jarquez Hunter is their leading rusher, 31 carries for 143 yards and 1 touchdown. And Jay Fair is the leading receiver thus far, 15 catches, 184 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So just some guys to watch out for on the Auburn side of the ball. The 10 sacks of Peyton Thorne thus far jumps out at me. I know that's been kind of the knock on Auburn to this point of the season is their offensive line. So again, I would love to see us get after him. If they're struggling that much on the line, struggling that much protecting their quarterback. I know Texas A&M was able to get to them several times, both quarterbacks actually. So I don't know. I'm looking for our defense to pin our ears back this week.
I was about to say, wasn't most of those sacks against Texas A&M?
Yeah, there were many. I know there were a lot. I don't know how many they had in that game, but just again for me watching the highlights, I saw a bunch.
Yeah, 7 sacks.
Okay.
Texas A&M was to get home on 7 of their sacks on the entirety of the season.
Okay, got it.
How many sacks did you say that they had been given up?
I'm talking for the one quarterback. So 10 sacks of Thorne. Okay. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I mean that's definitely an aspect that I feel like that we're going to be looking out for is how often we can get home and how effective we can get home against this defense, because like I said, from a statistical standpoint, Texas A&M is similar-ish enough to where you could call it like, hey, this is kind of similar to what we're talking about here, but the Texas A&M offense is nowhere near as effective as the UGA offense. So if you were to put that in perspective, you like our chances against the Auburn defense at a higher clip than Texas A&M was able to generate. Now, granted, I think that Texas A&M play them at home. I believe.
Yeah, it was at A&M
right.
A&M. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, take that into consideration as well. But our offense is a much more effective offense currently, based on all the stats and the totals and all that kind of thing. So, and Texas A&M was able to handle them 27-10. First year head coach, it's not really something that you typically would see a ton of success with. They've been lucky in that they've gotten a lot of early success. Not too dissimilar to say, Deion Sanders at Colorado. On height being undefeated, but then you came down to earth, crashing down to earth this past week. So it is what it is.
I know one thing that Kirby talked about is they do spread the ball around a lot amongst running backs. It's the first time we've played Auburn without Tank Bigsby being there for a while. I actually, when I was looking at their team, I knew he was gone, but I was having one of those moments, when there's those guys that it feels like they've been in college forever. I was like, is Tank Bigsby is gone, right? So confirmed he is gone. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just look for our offense I look for our defense to pin their ears back and rush the passer here in this game is kind of what I'm thinking. The Auburn offensive line has been struggling. All right. I would say things like would love to get Mike Hill back. I'd love to get Bullard back with the hopeful, not sure of that. I think we've had some young guys that have really stepped up. Interested to see how our linebacking core and inside linebackers look in this game, right? With Smiles continuing to get better and get healthier. Want to see what JDJ can do with this game as well.
Yeah. I'll go back to the times we talked about, smarter people than us exist out there, right?
True.
Top Billin is a big fan of Smile Mundan. If you go and look at some of the past national championship seasons, Top Billin does the film breakdowns, and he is a big proponent and a big fan of Smile Mundan. And I am too. I think that he's coming into his own. I've been kind of surprised at some of the playing time situation. I think wasn't he kind of banged up a little bit earlier this season? Yeah. Yep. So anyway, I that's never really changed for me. Even though you're hurt, I think that he's going to be a big impact as the season rolls on. He was a big impact on the last game. So yeah, I would look for him to have a big. I would look for him to have a big day. Really hoping that Michael gets the injury protocol taken care of.
yeah.
But
Same.
hopefully he'll be out and being able to make an impact as well, because I feel like that his absence in the last game made some of the passing success that they were able to have against us look a lot better than it probably would have if he was out there. It's just another situation. You look at the edge. How is this Georgia team able to get pressure from the edge? I feel like, it's one of those things like, you watch Jalen Carter, you watch Jordan Davis, like just completely eating up the middle of the field. And like we've got Nazir Stackhouse, we've got these, our guys, Warren Brinson, like we got the defensive line going. I feel like that they're holding their own. They're just not putting up a ton of statistics, very similar to Jordan Davis, but like, they're not blowing up plays like we've seen in the past, right? Like they're not. It's not like what you are used to seeing, but what you were not used to seeing is not getting pressure from the outside. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Agreed.
And I feel like that's what we're missing. So if you have those defensive players that are able to get to the quarterback, shed blocks, that command double teams, open up the field for other folks to come in and make plays, those sorts of things haven't like consistently been happening, I feel like. And maybe that's just me on my, like, again, talking about my feelings. Stats don't care about your feelings. And it could also just be the overall approach, right? Like we could just be dialing up a little bit more of the bend, don't break season. And if that's the case, like buckle up, Mr. Person behind Jim Wood. Like,
Yeah.
they've been pretty effective at it.
Right.
Minus some, fortuitous turnovers to the teams that we're playing. It's been pretty effective from a defensive standpoint. Like, it hasn't been overly dominant, but at the same time, it's been pretty effective.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
To the tune where you're sitting here like, well, I'm not really super worried about the defense, Jim. Well,
yeah.
Should you be? I don't know.
No, I'm not. I'm not worried about our defense.
Yeah.
I'm still not worried about the defense.
I wasn't worried about the secondary, but like at the same time, you see these guys floating around in the secondary wide open. You wonder, like, should you worry about a passing attack or a mobile quarterback, Jim? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be less worried when Bullard gets back. Again, Tyke Smith tied for,
don't we all?
Yeah, tied for the league lead in picks. Loving that. I don't for Auburn. No, because I don't think they can protect their quarterback long enough. So, from what I've seen. So, all right, let's hit a couple of things on special teams. So players of note for Auburn. Alex McPherson is their place kicker. He is actually perfect on the season thus far. He is 16 of 16 on extra points, and he is 3 for 3 on field goals. And then their punter, John.
He's only kicked 3 field goals. He's only kicked 3 field goals.
Only kicked 3 field goals. He's 3 for 3 and 16 of 16 on extra points.
Wow.
They have an Australian punter, John.
Here we go.
He's Oscar Chapman from Adelaide, South Australia. He averages 40.29 yards a punt. He is from Pro Kick Australia, just like our guy Brett Thorson. He was 21 when he signed with Auburn back in 2020. So older guy, much like Brett. That seems to be the case with these guys. He punted 9 times against A&M last week, by the way. A lot of punts.
9 punts.
9 punts. And also,
I bet Thorson is looking at this guy like, come on, man. Like, yeah.
Yeah, his quarterback really likes him, unlike Stetson Bennett and Carson Beck don't like Brett Thorson.
Ooh, speaking of Stetson Bennett, I feel like are you gonna talk about his attire?
So their punter we'll have to tweet out the picture of him. So
you've got to tweet this picture out.
For one thing, John, I feel like he looks like he's gotten younger over the years. I feel like he actually looked the oldest when he was a freshman. And his hair has changed, but he's got a nice stash. And so I'll share what this guy looks like. It's pretty awesome. Rocking a nice stash is Mr. Chapman.
He looks like Stetson Bennett when he was at the community college.
He does. Oh man. On our special teams, I don't know. One thing. Okay, so I'll add one more. We talked in the last episode about
he's 6'3".
Yeah, he's a big dude. He's a big dude. We talked about in the last episode, Lily and I going to the Bulldog Brunch, and I will say one of the other questions that was asked there. Someone asked if Georgia had gone for it on 4th down against UAB because of the kicking situation, and Kevin Butler actually said, in his opinion, no. He said that he felt like that was more of an identity play, a challenge to the offensive line. He said that coaches should not coach around a kicker, that if you don't have the confidence in your kicker to make the kick, that person should not be your kicker. So I thought that was pretty interesting coming from a Hall of Famer in Kevin Butler.
What I hear a Hall of Famer, former player, former coach say is that Kirby Smart and his program put players in a position of adversity to overcome.
Yeah, true.
Does that sound familiar, dear listener?
It does. So we'll watch that this week, and then only the thing is, I would like to see kickoffs into the end zone. I want touchbacks, not returns. And let's clean up our return game. We've had a lot of holds on our returns, by the way, as well. We need to clean up our return game. So,
which is mind-boggling to me because I feel like that there was holding on every single play against UAB. There was a matter of fact, I actually educated Rhonda and Rich, our gracious hosts, I'll mention again because she was like, "Why are you upset about that?" And I proceeded to show her on the replay, which was fortunate because they actually showed the replay. Like, people are physically grabbing you, and when their shirt is being pulled, that is literally the definition of a hold.
Oh my gosh, yeah, there was one.
What even is a hold anymore, guys?
Yeah, there's one on Jalen Walker that was atrocious.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was bad. That was bad.
You're just literally right in front of the referee, like, come on, guys.
For sure. All right, John, you ready for the listener questions?
I think so.
All right. Let's remind everyone that the listener questions are brought to you by Working Web Media. So Working Web Media redesigned the My Gotta Podcast website. You can go check it out at mygottapodcast.com. We've got our new merch store. Everything's up there. You get the hat that John's wearing, the white rope My Gotta Podcast hat. We've got the usual lineup of t-shirts and the old trucker hats that we've had really since we got going. So you can go check out all that there. If you need help if you got a small business, you need help with your website, or just your online presence as well, you can reach out to them at workingwebmedia.com/dogs, and then they will know that we sent you their way. All right, John, first up, we've got Trent Thacker. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he sent us a message saying that there's been some complaints about Bobo.
Really?
Yeah, there have been some.
What?
Saying that he feels like we're comparable to recently, but anyways, he has a conspiracy theory. His conspiracy theory: he was watching Bama Ole Miss last Saturday. He said Lane Kiffin is a tremendous offensive coordinator, but a terrible head coach. Lane Kiffin, he said he saw a stat that he's 1-19 against teams that win 9 games in the season. He said any chance Kirby ditches Bobo and brings in Kiffin when Lane is inevitably let go from Ole Miss. Can you see that? I can't see that being a happy marriage, Kirby and Lane Kiffin.
I mean, you'd say the same thing about Kirby and Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin, right?
True, fair.
I don't see it happening just because I don't feel like Lane's going to go, quote unquote, backward in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I don't know. He's been a head coach longer than Kirby's been a head coach, that kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
I don't think that he's going to take that quote unquote backward step of taking on a role with a coach that was on the similar and is on the similar like trajectory that he was.
Yeah.
And just did it more successfully. I feel like that would be a bit of a humble pie that he just couldn't bear.
Yeah. Agreed.
It would be interesting. And I agree. Like, I think that there's a number of coaches out there, and I don't fault them for taking these steps forward and these leaps forward, and you're coaching beyond your prowess. Like, for example, I feel like Sam Pittman is in that vein as well at Arkansas.
Right.
However, these guys are going to retire with a lot of money. At the same time, you're talking about these are careers. So you take those steps to these coaching positions, and they come with these golden parachute bailouts, right?
Right.
So in a way, the coaching carousel and the coaching strategy is a retirement plan of sorts.
That's amazing. Yes.
I mean, you're not like, sorry, Carter. Look at Mike Bobo and Will Muschamp are still being paid by the University of South Carolina.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, boom. I mean, shoot, is he still on Auburn's payroll? I don't know.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing money wise to get fired as a head coach. I will. The only other thing I will say is I'm not sure that Kirby is going to want so to speak to ditch Bobo. Personal opinion.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, yeah. To your point, like I think that Bobo is. I don't know why he went to I don't know why he went to Colorado State, but
yeah,
I think that he is certainly in that vein of like probably should just be an offensive coordinator. I think Muschamp coordinator. You could go back in time. Oh gosh darn it, I'm blanking. The guy that was before Willie.
Van Gorder.
Yeah, Van Gorder. Like never should have left.
Yeah,
never should have left.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's see. Next up, Coach Chad. He said,
"What might have been, Jim? Had
I know,
Van Gorder never left."
Greatest Squidbillies ever? ? Which of course is a reference to
Auburn
So we played that in the intro, so I'll have to get back into that. Although I do have to admit something, John.
Okay.
I don't know. I've never watched Squidbillies.
I've watched a little bit of them, but admittedly, I've not watched enough to like have known about that
Yeah.
clip.
I know
had
the
it
memes.
Not been for other Georgia fans.
Agreed. Like I know that, and I know the "them dogs is hell, don't they?" Like that part. I know that stuff, but I get the Georgia clips on the socials. So, and just full admission there.
Full admission. I know that there's multiple Squidbillies where like the main guy, I can't remember the guy's name, but he talks about Herschel Walker.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Brett Belding has a two-parter. First off, why does Auburn have a huge Clemson logo painted in the middle of the Tumors corner intersection? And he put a picture of it in his tweet. There definitely is a large paw there. I suppose because they're the Tigers too, although they don't really use that logo. I don't know, because of the Tigers.
Yeah, I have to say I was unaware of this. Did you know about this? Because I feel like this is new information.
That logo was there.
Yeah. Like what?
Yeah, I had not seen that that was there. I mean, I've been there. I've been to Timor's Corner, but it's been a while. It's been a while. It's not. I will tell you, John. I will tell you, it's not listed on like their standard logos on their site. So I don't know if what's going on there, but yeah, they're the Tigers. But for some reason, I don't know. Like, did the contractor paint the wrong school's Tigers logo?
Okay, so all right. So here's the thing. So I feel was Tumor's Corner designed by like a Clemson graduate or something? Because all right, so here's the corollary that I'll give to this. There's a building on UGA's campus. I believe it was a biology building or a math and science building. I can't remember which one it was. I want to say it had to have been some kind of science building because the way that they fixed it like correlated to what they caught. So anyway, long story short, there's a building on UGA's campus that was designed by Georgia Tech architects. And I think we've talked about it on the podcast, but there's a building on UGA's campus that was being designed by Georgia Tech alumni, architecture or whatever. And the way that they designed it in the plans, they hid it in such a way where it was going to be a GT logo on the campus of UGA. At some point, someone on in the decision-making process realized what was in place. They fired the architects, hired new ones, reorganized it to where it looked like a double helix.
Okay.
I had a class in one of these buildings, but like I feel like that was one of those situations where like UGA found out about it. They fixed it like so that they weren't able to do what they were trying to do. But that logo is a copyright of Clemson. So it's interesting that it ends up on Auburn's campus because that logo in and of itself, the tiger print, the tiger paw or whatever insignia has been like official for Clemson since like I think it's like 1980s or something like 1982s.
How long it's been for Clemson? Yeah, 1982. It's 82. Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, did a Clemson alumni like design Tumor's Corner? Like, at some point they must have redesigned it and added it at some point, right?
It was So basically, in 2015 is when they like redid Tumor's Corner and had this design. That's when that got painted there. So all I did find basically when it got released, when they showed like the plans of what was going to happen, and when people saw the plans, everyone was angry. They're like, you should put AU there, not the paw, because that's the Clemson paw. So Auburn fans didn't even like it when it happened. So I should have texted Brett to ask him what he was saying. I started to text him just now, but we're recording kind of late. So Brett, hit us up. Let us know if there's something sinister going on there. The second question in the two-parter from Brett was, do you like to drive in your truck? All right, next up, 51-7 GATA. Is this game going to be as low scoring as I think it is? Neither team getting to 24 points. Thanks for what y'all do. LOL, it makes the season more entertaining. Thanks for that. 51-7 GATA. Appreciate that. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I guess we'll get into our predictions later. I I think it's going to be low scoring on the Auburn side.
I think it's going to be low scoring on the Auburn side as well.
All right, let's see. Lula34. Okay, this is what we were hinting at earlier. Is the CFB Nerds model predicting an Auburn win concerning to y'all? So, John, that's what you're talking about earlier. So, CFB Nerds, they are that you can find them on Twitter. They're CFB Nerds on Twitter. They have a game model. I don't know that I would say score predictor, but they have a model that they use to analyze games. And they do have Auburn predicted to win. It doesn't concern me personally. And like my reasoning is when they released the model like this week, and they're like, here's the model, it's free, you can plug in any matchup and we'll model it for you. And so people noticed, John Tweet Sports noticed, that's where we found out about that if you entered in Georgia and Auburn, it had Auburn outscoring Georgia. So that kind of blew up. That was like the one that people started bombing them with. And they replied and they said, they kind of defended a little bit. And they said the biggest issue with Georgia is, number one, the performance against South Carolina. Number two, the paucity of good opponents thus far. And then he said the model doesn't know what to do with Georgia because their opponents have been so bad. And they said, granted, that's not Georgia's fault. It said it also does not include priors and it is unaware of Georgia's talent level. So personally, I'm not worried about it.
What I hear you saying is the computer feels like the guy behind you, Jim.
Oh, man. Yes, exactly.
I mean, like, said another way, run the ball, Bebo.
Yeah.
Or throw the ball, Bebo. Sorry, Carter.
Sorry, Carter.
Literally, like, that's what I'm hearing is that the computer is yelling at Bobo for some reason. Or just doesn't know what to do with this UGA team. And that I feel like that either way, like we center around on like it all comes back to the offense, right? Like how is the offense going to do? What is the offense going to do to disrupt this game? I feel like the defense is, either like historically like consistent / like if we don't turn the ball over here and there, like we're fine kind of thing. Like I'm not too concerned about the defense. It's the offense that's always going to be the issue here. And the computers are basically saying that, hey, Mr. 33E or whatever, you're right to kind of feel that way because even the computers apparently don't know what to do with UGA.
That's funny.
But at the end of the day, like we're undefeated. Is it going to be a pretty like blowout of every single opponent like we were in 2022 when we had a second-year offensive coordinator and a 29-year-old quarterback at the helm? And is it going to be like that? No, like it's not going to be that way. And frankly, I don't necessarily know that it needs to be that way.
The only other thing I'll add to that is it also wasn't really that way even last year. Right. Like when you get down to it. So
Jim, don't rattle your guy up with facts. All right. I'm just telling you, like, this is how people feel, right? We got to massage the feelings.
Sorry. My bad.
This is what I do for a living, Jim. I massage people's feelings.
Okay.
In spite of all of the data that's around what you're telling me that you feel.
Got it. Fair enough, John. Fair enough. All right, let's see. Brian Harrell, why do you think Auburn has had so much trouble recruiting a quarterback? I've got a thought here. I don't know, John, if you have one.
I'll take. Yeah. What do you think?
I mean, to me, part of it is the coaching carousel that they've got going on over there. I mean, they can't keep a coach employed long enough. They keep changing everything up. I think that's part of their problem. And I mean, arguably they had a guy in Bo Nix. I mean, he's doing pretty good at Oregon. He decided to go elsewhere.
What's the last good quarterback they had over there? A UGA transfer?
Which one? Daniel Cobb?
Nick Marshall? Like what?
Yeah.
I mean, UGA is keeping all these programs afloat with all their stars, right? Their castaways.
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously the coaching carousel is going to have, a big impact on that. But at the same time, like I feel like Hugh Freeze, the combination of Hugh Freeze and Bobby Petrino will probably find some quarterbacks here in the not too distant future. But at the same time, like, college football landscape has changed quite a bit since Bobby Petrino was the quote unquote offensive.
You're latched on to me mentioning Bobby Petrino earlier, but Petrino's at A&M.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Cadillac Williams.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the offenses have changed quite a bit since he was in school, but at the same time, like, so his offenses have changed since Bobo was in school too. So I don't know, man. Like, if Cadillac Williams I guess the question could be is, can Cadillac Williams recruit a quarterback? I don't know. He's the consistency at Auburn at this point, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that anyone else was a holdover there. He is the running backs coach, but associate head coach. Philip Montgomery is their quarterbacks coach. But I don't know, with this recruiting stuff, it's not necessarily the position coach that's recruiting him. But look, Hugh Freeze has recruited good quarterbacks in the past. I think I do think they'll get there as long as he can stay there. Right. I think it's been the turnover.
I don't know, unless Cadillac Williams is their Rodney Gardner, right?
Right. Yep, exactly. Brian also said on our side, do you think this is the beginning of a Brock takeover on offense? I do. I think last week we decided to make a conscious effort to get him the ball, and I think that was the start of something.
Yeah, I mean, call me crazy, but we've got this guy named Brock Allen Bowers, and he does really good things when you throw him the ball and get the ball in his hands in space. I mean, it seems like we should get him the ball a lot more, and I feel like that they heard us call for that, and there's a reason why he had the coming out party in the last game, because they're building towards that, that impetus or whatever.
Yeah. Agreed.
Crescendo, if you will.
Nice. Let's see. Rambo said, at this point, are we going to go back to the old days and just wait till the fourth quarter to start checking the score? And then he put parentheses, slow starts. Rambo, we had a fast start last game, scored in the opening possession. What, 28 points by the half? I don't think so. I think the slow starts were a bit influenced by the clock, and then red zone woes, which we cleaned up last week. At least what was it, John? 5 of 5, 6 for 6 touchdowns in the red zone last week. I
need a definition. What is a slow start?
Yeah, agreed. You need a clarifying question.
Yes.
Or we've got one in the next one from John Michael D.
Okay.
Or he has a clarification on something else. So first off, actually, you know what? I've got a soundbite for where he started. He starts off with
trying to put glasses on it.
Which Native American tribe / band has a burial ground under that wild stadium? So just crazy things happen at Jordan here. We've seen that there. But he said, number 2, is Ladd going to get the Pickens / Mitchell treatment this year? And his clarification, John, is basically not playing until Atlanta and potentially playoffs.
I think he's going to get a little bit further along on there. I would say that, he's probably going to be playing this game or the next game, right?
Yeah, I don't think he'll get the Pickens Mitchell treatment. I don't. I think we had the 2-week shutdown. We're past that. I don't know that we'll play this week. I don't know who'll play this week. Right,
2 weeks to stop the spread.
Wow. I don't know that he'll play this week, but it will not. We're not going to wait until Atlanta. I'll say that. All right. We had a few people ask some favorite game at Auburn type questions. Herman Woods said he gave 2 choices, either between the hoses or the overtime game.
No relation.
No, but Herman Wood is the gentleman who submitted the Munson tapes to the archives.
Yes.
So no relation as far as I know. And then Chad Jarvis said favorite Auburn away moment. So mine, it's for me, as far as Herman, it's between those two of between the hoses and overtime. For me, it's the overtime game. We talked about that before. That's the game where I was in the car on the way to Macon and actually listened to the tying up in regulation pass from Bobo to Corey Allen in the car. So only had Munson to guide my way. So that one always holds a special place for me. So that's the 1996 first ever overtime game in the SEC. Was 5 overtimes. So for me, it's that one. overall favorite moment though has got to be 2002 because I was at that game as well. David Green to Michael Johnson. So that's it for me. What about you, JP?
I like Green and Michael Johnson, but I'll tell you again. I feel like we mentioned this on the last episode, but trying to remember 2006.
That was the Stafford game. Freshman Stafford was 06.
Well, I was trying to remember what they were ranked.
Oh yeah, they were like number 2, I think, and we were unranked.
Yes. Okay. So I feel like I talked about this on the last time we talked about Auburn, but Trey Battle.
Yes. Yeah.
This was the Trey Battle game.
Yeah, that was 06.
I remember watching this game in a bar. I want to say it was like one of those like beer gardens, like I can't remember what it was called. Man, I'm picturing the logo. It was in Buckhead, some kind of beer place over there. I was with fraternity brother Cord Marlowe, and he had a buddy named CB Brennan. Poor kid. He talked so much. Sorry, Carter. He talked so much smack the entire time leading up to this game about how terrible Georgia was. Blah 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 blah. And I remember watching this game, and Trey Battle proceeded to just like intercept his way into CB's soul and completely sucked the joy out of his life. And I remember thinking that was the most amazing thing. And as a matter of fact, like one of like, as you think back on your fandom or whatever, like what are some of the scenes, like, you know, Kirby lifting the trophy, you know, A.D. Mitchell, blah, 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 all these different things. One of my personal like memories is Trey Battle diving into the end zone after a pick six.
Yeah. Yeah.
That for me was one of those like moments as a fan that like I'll never forget.
Yeah. That one was the way, and they're like the way he dove too. He kind of like did a flip.
He did like a front flip. Yeah. he does a front flip, and it's like, you know, you're going to get a penalty. And I feel like it's one of those situations where like Mark Richt like definitely took him to the side and was like talking to him about it.
Yeah. That was a good one. That's a good one. I do like that one.
Yeah, but that's like that's one of my personal ones.
No, that's out. I totally agree. And that's where, so for me, that one, the personal one is the 96, the Bobo to Corey Allen. That's the personal one for me. So, nice. Let's see. Chad also said, what scares you the most about Auburn? Does anything scare you about these guys, John?
The defense, our ability to defend the pass against a passing, you know, team. I'd hesitate to say scare, but right. Like I feel like we're unproven against a true passing. It's kind of like last year, right? Like we weren't really challenged until we got to CJ Stroud, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, like I feel like that a quarterback that can. I mean, Rattler was, I guess, maybe like if you were to look back onto the season, like the canary in the coal mine or whatever, like what Rattler was able to do against us for at least for a half, you know, we were able to kind of close it up, you know. I don't know, like that first half against South Carolina kind of sticks out in my head as being like, God, we can't stop anybody. Oh my God, we're screwed against better teams. Sort of thing.
I will say, I mean, I'm glad you jumped to Rattler. To say, like, we're not going to see a quarterback on that level this week. Right. We'll have to look ahead to see how far. Although you talking that through to me just reminded me. Have you seen the fake infomercial commercial where like if you need to feel good about yourself for one quarter, go play the Georgia Bulldogs?
yes. Just be satisfied in the moral victory of playing the number one team in the country to 2 scores.
That's an amazing video. If you haven't seen it, you got to go find that one. All right, let's see. Hushton Rich. Hushton, not Hoshton. I don't know, John, if you know this. I always thought it was Hoshton. It's Hushton, the city. And I met Rich at the South Carolina tailgate. Will Boom travel to Auburn so he can take a bite out of Tyler Fromm? I hope he's there. I think these days live mascots can go on the road once again. So I'd hope so. I don't know if he's going to take a bite out of Tyler Fromm like he did Eugene Baker. I mean, from the Fromm standpoint, unfortunately, young man is not playing a whole lot. I think he's only got like one catch on the year. But I do hope Boom will be there. We'll have to try to put glasses on it to see if he's gonna make the trip. But I would assume he is.
Right. I mean, he's so young and spry, right?
Exactly. I feel like things had kind of tailed off a little bit with Uga getting older. Boom, I'm sure he's a road dog still. So
that's a good point. We haven't talked about Boom very much this season, have we? Like, we're still working on a new Uga, guys. Calm down.
I mean, this is the kind of analysis that you can only get on my God podcast.
I mean, guys, we don't even know if our mascot's gonna freaking be there. Like, let's just dial back the stress levels here.
Right. Exactly. All right.
We got some young pups, is what I'm saying.
Literally. All right. Last up, Fletcher Proctor. Some people hate Auburn because of Fairley. I
hate Auburn because of Fairley and Trooper Taylor. Screw you,
Trooper Taylor. The 2010 game. He said, or 2013 or 2017. He said, I hate them because of 1999 when Ben Leard channeled Joe Montana and the game was over before I found my seat in the upper deck. I delight whenever we demolish them to this day because of that rude awakening my freshman year. So, John, you would have still been in high school that year. That was my sophomore year. So, Fletcher, I always knew we were there similar time. So good to know that. What I remember from that game was Ronnie Daniels was their receiver, and he absolutely torched our secondary, and he actually like dunked the football over the goalpost after one of his touchdowns. It was insane. That was a nightmare. I guess for me, that is one of them. So for that game, and then 2000, actually the next year, 2000. In 2000, we lost in overtime there. I went to that game too. That one was pretty brutal. Look, over the years, Georgia-Auburn has been so big as far as like the SEC, the race to win the SEC. If you go back like pre-divisions, when there was no SEC championship game, this was our last game played in the SEC so many times, and they spoiled Georgia winning the SEC championship many years, which again, get off my lawn. This game should be played in November. I don't like it being played this early, but McMahon, it's a huge rivalry. It's the oldest, the Deep South's oldest rivalry. And it got that name for a reason. We've been playing these guys forever, and we've both dashed each other's hopes many, many times.
Yeah, this is one of those rivalries that just like has to be preserved in whatever makeup the future college football world goes to. This is the game that I mean, Jim, would you say that this game I don't know. I'm torn between like, all right, so Georgia Tech is UGA's number one rival. I think you and I can agree on that, right?
And Jamon Dumas Johnson. I don't know. He said that today.
Yeah. Coach Smart. Yeah. Coach Smart says that Georgia Tech is our rival, right? Yeah. I mean, you're never going to go broke in the state of Georgia winning against that game. So if you take Tech out of it, because they don't even play in our conference, right? Like It's not like a Michigan, Ohio State where there's like conference like affiliation. So I would wager that Auburn is our Georgia Tech conference foe, even though like the average fan, these days would probably say, "Oh, Florida is the the big rival," or even like college kids these days, Tennessee,
college kids these days probably say Alabama.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's kind of weird, right?
But we don't play them every year.
I know. I agree.
I'm talking about teams that we play every year. Like what would be your Georgia Tech? And I would say that Auburn is probably in that vein, right?
Yeah,
that's the way that I feel about it. I mean, Auburn is like, if you don't, people always say like, nobody gives a shit about the Tech game until you lose, right? Sorry, Carter. Yeah. If you don't care about the Auburn game, lose that. Like in where I live in Marietta, like one of the churches that we go to, I feel like they were founded by Auburn fans. I don't know. Like there's a ton of Auburn people at our church, and like it's just like the Tech situation. Like there's a ton of Auburn people around the western side of Georgia, and I'm in West Cobb, for lack of a better directional. Like it's not exactly West Georgia, but like, a lot of folks go to Auburn, backup school, right? Number one backup school. So you've got a lot of folks that like wanted to go to Georgia, couldn't get there, so they go to Auburn. And it's just like Georgia Southern. If you know people that are from Georgia Southern, apologies if you went to Georgia Southern, but like it's a cult, right? Like as soon as you touch campus there as a student, you're there for life. And you've got the bumper sticker. I'm pretty sure they throw a bumper sticker in your flags. Like the Georgia Southern people are like Georgia Southern. Auburn people, once you hit Auburn, you're Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you were raised a Georgia fan your entire life.
Yeah, well, and that's part of it, right? Is the how close they are and how much they recruit Georgia, right? I mean,
right?
How
just
many
over the border?
Yeah, and like how many of their big time players are from Georgia, right? Cam Newton, right? Went to high school in Atlanta area. So yeah,
Montravius Adams, I think his name was the offensive tackle that went to Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. Like for me, I personally, I don't know. I don't know, man. Like that's the weird thing about Georgia is because we're in the middle there of the SEC. We've got rivals surrounding us everywhere. And I don't know that anyone is quite like us, having as many rivals as we do. But I also think it's regional. It's where you grew up. It's who you're around. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. For me, it probably is Florida after Tech, but I think Auburn's got a good argument as well.
Right.
All right, JP, are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be, Jim.
It is time for Coach Trillbill's over-unders with an appearance from Champ Bailey the dog, if you're watching on YouTube.
Watch on YouTube.
JP, Coach's over-unders Auburn edition. Let's see. I have the lead. So I get to choose who goes first, and I will go first. So starting off with the offense, over-under total offensive yards for Georgia, over-under 375. I'm going to go over.
I'm also going to go over.
All right, over to you. Over under first half Georgia points scored 17.5.
I'm going to go over.
Okay. I'm going to go. Oh man, yeah, but I really want it to be over. I'm going to go over. I'm going to go over. UGA players with the catch over under 9.5.
Someone was talking about this earlier. Like
I'm going to go under.
Okay. Oh, okay. I feel like someone was talking about this, and they said that it was like UGA had like 11 different players make a catch in the last game.
Yeah. Will you spread the ball around?
Yeah, I'm going to go over.
Okay. Over to the defense. Sorry, your turn, John. Over under 175 passing yards allowed.
Oh, I'm going to go over.
All right, I'm going to go under. Mixing things up this week, John. Okay, my turn. Over under 95 rushing yards allowed. I'm going to go under.
I'm going to also go under.
All right, and then over to you,
Jim. If my maths are correct, I can't wait to hear what your score prediction is based on these numbers.
Oh well, they don't have to line up. Remember that, John. You can always hedge your bets. This is not foreshadowing. It's not foreshadowing. I lost track. I think it's your turn. Over under, or was it my turn? You got me all mixed up.
I think it's my turn.
Over under 2.5 sacks.
2.5 sacks. I'm going to go over.
Okay. I'm also going to go over. All right. Special teams. Total punts in the game.
For Georgia punts, or is it this Auburn punts?
Oh, I assumed it was Georgia. My name. Okay, so Coach Trillbill.
So given the 9 punt metric that we talked about
I'm assuming this is Georgia punts only. That's how we're going to do it. We're in Coach Trillbill instruction. We're interpreting this as Georgia punts only. Over under 7.5 JP.
Under.
Agreed. Under. And we may have just messed that up. Sorry, Coach.
If it were Auburn, let's go ahead and answer it both ways.
Okay. If it were Auburn,
yeah,
over.
Over. Yeah.
All right. Over. Your turn. Miscellaneous. Gary Danielson mentions UGA slow starts. Over under 4.5 times.
Over.
Over. Oh, man. I want to say over, but I had already decided I was going to fade you on this one. So under.
Oh, nice.
Coach is going to have like some detailed things to look for in this episode.
If I lose on 1 point, I'm gonna be pissed about this.
If it's this one, yes.
Well, if I lose on 1 point in the season, I'll come
for
back
the
to
season.
this. Like, Jim, this is bullshit.
You're gonna go back to this one. Amazing. Thanks to Coach Chillbill, as always, for sending in the questions and then for checking them as well. Appreciate you, Coach.
I forgot we get Gary on this one, huh?
Yeah. 3:30. This is the CBS game of the week with the crew. So we get Gary and Brad. So
again,
like
if you're a Georgia fan, if you're an SEC football fan, if you're a college football fan, if you're a nostalgia fan, this is the game that goes away in the future on 3:30 kickoff on CBS.
Yep. Yeah, this is the last season.
Screw you all.
The last season. That the glorious music is going to be played for Big Ten matchups against Iowa and Rutgers.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the predictions. So just some background. CBC R2 Sam is out today predicting Georgia wins 34.2 to 12.9. Shout out to Dog Quant. Oddshark has Georgia listed as a 14.5 point favorite with an over-under of 47. So that gives an implied score of Georgia 30.75 to Auburn 16.25. And then their predicted score is Georgia 38.2 to Auburn 26.4, which would be a win, an Auburn cover, and the over. I guess I can go first on that. I mean, I'm not thinking as quite as crazy as you are. I went back and forth on this a lot, John, and I even did some looking just at like recent games, what we've done against them the last few years, and I know that doesn't really mean anything or matter here. But I've got the Dogs winning this game 30-10.
I'm gonna go 43-21.
Okay. Got it. So we both got 51-7 GATA. That gets us back. We're predicting a little bit higher scoring here than I think that you were thinking. I don't know, man. I like our chances in this one from what I've seen from them and what I've seen from us. And I'm looking for big things from Mr. Brock Bowers.
Agreed. I think that, like I said, the closest comparable here is like looking at an SEC foe and Texas A&M with all the issues that they had going on.
Yeah,
it just seems like a situation for us to kind of outshine our opponents.
Agreed. I looked at some of the other matchups, not quite as big of a weekend going on this week. One that I do think is interesting is actually the Friday night matchup, Utah at Oregon State. So two of the leaders in the last season of the Pac-12 right now.
I mean, looking at the rest of college football, Jim, totally off the rails question or whatever. Like, I mean, who wants to win the national championship this year?
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Like when I'm looking across the landscape of the games this weekend, I don't, and watching last week, I mean, even like with the Ohio State Notre Dame game, right? Ohio State really squeaking that out. It took Notre Dame having only 10 guys in the field when they scored the game-winning touchdown. So that's exactly how I feel, John. And I think, people keep pointing to Georgia and saying, I'm not seeing what I saw last year. Again, tend to disagree a little bit, at least in that you're thinking of end of season Georgia, not beginning of season Georgia from last year. But if you look around the landscape, people had kept asking, is this one of those 2007 seasons? I think it might be where there's a lot of parity, even at the top.
I would tend to agree. So what games are you looking at this weekend to kind of hope for some separation?
So for separation, there's that one, the Utah at Oregon State, but again, Utah is up to number 10. As far as like really high teams, the only other like top 25 matchup, you've got number 24 Kansas at number 3 Texas. Could Texas stumble this week?
Okay. Kansas at Texas. Okay.
But probably not.
I figure they'll probably. I mean, I'll give you a for instance. Like this is like a situation of where college football is today.
Mm-hmm.
Preseason, you look at the Notre Dame Duke game, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's a garbage game.
Right.
It's a top 20 matchup.
Yeah. 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 That's true. True.
You got Notre Dame, number 11 Notre Dame going to number 17 Duke on ABC 7:30 kickoff. That looks like a pretty interesting game. I would say Alabama at Mississippi State, as Georgia has seen in the past, playing at Mississippi State is a not easy affair.
Yeah.
Starkville is usually a pretty decent place to play as far as like, not only how hard it is to get there, but just in general. I don't think that we're expecting Alabama to lose, but that's like one of those tough matchups. I'll give you another, for instance. Colorado's got another Bellwater game against USC.
That's funny that I didn't even pull it up as a matchup, John. As one to look at.
Colorado has USC at home.
Okay.
They play at Folsom Field, 12 o'clock on Fox.
What do you think?
So,
what do you think
on the broadcast? I believe that we're going to see. All right, I'll tell you what I believe, and then I'll tell you what I want.
Okay.
I believe that Colorado is going to get a Dan Lanning treatment from an offensive standpoint. I believe that Colorado, much like any other Lincoln Riley coach team, I hope that Bear Alexander gets exposed. Sorry to be petty, but I hope that Bear Alexander gets absolutely worked in this game. But I have a feeling that USC is going to come to town trying to make another statement similar to what Dan Lanning did. But I would love for Coach Prime to knock off Riley. That would just be a chef's kiss to the Kirby coaching tree to watch Mr. Offensive Guru get whooped by newcomer Deion Sanders and all of his, the island of misfit toys that is Colorado right now. The week after they got their bell absolutely rung by Dan Lanning at Oregon.
Got it. Yep. Yeah.
I would love for Florida to lose to Kentucky. That's another one that we're going to be watching with bated breath, even though like the fate's already sealed. Kentucky is going to be a night game.
Yeah.
But Florida at Kentucky sets us up for what could potentially be an undefeated game against Kentucky, and potentially like by that point, if they beat Florida, like Kentucky would be a top 25 team, right?
Yeah, it's actually interesting to me that they're still not ranked yet. But yeah, they beat Florida. They're coming in as a top 25 team for that matchup next week. So
right.
I don't know. So what are you pulling for? Or do you want Kentucky to win that game?
I would love Kentucky to win that game. Are you kidding me? FTMF. I need more.
I don't even know why I asked that question.
Yes.
One might say I was leading the witness, but
objection, Your Honor.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, let's see. I mentioned, obviously neither of us are going. Be watching from home.
Oh, I forgot. LSU and Ole Miss.
Yeah, the Fighting Hunters again. But again,
the Fighting Hunters.
Two 1-loss teams, but there's some major jockeying in the West going on still. LSU still has to play Alabama, so that is a big one. I don't know. I mean, I think to me, it's like which version of Jaden Daniels shows up probably decides that game. He's looked otherworldly at times, and then other times a little bit more pedestrian. I'm going to put that one kind of on his shoulders. LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels.
I feel like this. I don't know. I feel like this would be if this were an Ole Miss or LSU podcast, we'd be talking about like I don't know. Maybe we should ask Hunter because Hunter is a big jambalaya cooker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what is it? Is it Mississippi gumbo or is it Louisiana gumbo? Which one's better?
Oh, good question.
Yeah,
we'll have to ask Hunter. We'll have to get that from him.
Yeah, we'll have to get. I feel like this is one of those like the battle of the tailgates, right?
Right.
The battle of the Southeastern Conference tailgates.
Oh, nice.
Let's see, South Carolina going to Tennessee. Looking ahead. Similar opponents as we look to Tennessee. South Carolina plays at Tennessee, so that'll be interesting to see how they perform against that vaunted Vol Navy.
Yeah. I mean, that's South Carolina got them last year. Spencer Rattler lit them up. Tennessee's already had a fall from grace. I don't know what to make of that one. I give South Carolina a shot though.
I'm rooting for South Carolina on that one.
Yeah, agreed. All right, man.
Let's see what else. I don't see anything else that sticks out.
Yeah, I think that's exhausted it. For us for Saturday, I know neither of us are making the road trip there. You'll be back home, right? By Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Be back at home. Okay. Yeah. So we'll be home as well. We got high school homecoming here though. So we'll have that going on throughout the day as well. Or in the evening. So,
is Jim going to be cleaning his shotgun this weekend?
No, just going with friends. Just,
okay.
The stag like friend group, I would say. So
nice.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. First one for our freshmen. So should be a good time.
Good time.
All right, man. Yeah. So I don't know. With that going on, I don't know what else is going to be going on with the menu around here. It'll be a little crazy around with all that going on. But we'll probably just have to get by with the bean dip. You can snack on that throughout the day.
We can keep it rolling with the poultry. We do have the War Eagles. That's
true.
It's been a theme on the season.
Fair enough. I was gonna say I may have to have some donuts in the morning though. After you got me craving donuts.
Nice. I may have to get some on the way back.
Nice. Yeah.
Just to have.
Awesome. Cool, man. Well, it was fun previewing another edition of the Deep South Soldiers rivalry with you. Let's go take care of the War Eagle Tiger Plainsman on Saturday.
Yes. The East Alabama Men's College.
Nice.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
O'Reilly. You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
College Savings Iowa is now iSave 529, and it can do more than take your child to college. It's their passport to a bright future, because funds can be used for K-12 tuition, trade schools, graduate degrees, books, and everything they need to get anywhere they want to go. Register by September 30th at iowa529contest.com for a chance to win a $5,290 contribution. iSave 529 for every child, for any adventure.